ain't Amy. Do, 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 do. Hey, X. I'm trying to get more content out there during the day. I don't know if y'all noticed. Oh, I've got an eyelash in my eye. Wasn't that pretty? I want to thank Julie, Kimmy, X for making this great content. Hello, Mystic. They do such a good job. And I want to thank the ones that comment. You have no idea how important that commenting is. And when I'm talking about commenting, it's okay if you put like, a heart emoji, or something like that. But that really tells the algorithm, hey, there's a conversation going on here. So I would really, hey Andrew, I would really, really, really appreciate it if you would comment on these videos. Because let me tell you something, they're not easy. Hey Kim. They are not easy at all. I'm so glad, Mystic. If I make just one person happy telling these stories, I'm content. But there's a lot more of you. So that tells me that we have something special here. I try. Definitely. Get out. I command you to leave. I'm talking to the gingers. I command you. Get out of here. She's not listening. She's just like, no, I don't have to listen to you. It's okay, girlie. That is perfectly okay. Crap. Alright, this is as good as it's gonna get, folks. So who has did some more investigating on the Bell Witch since Monday night? Hey, little girl. Let's tap, tap, tap. 3 minutes. Come on, I'm tapping too. Let's start tapping, sharing, reposting. Keisha, thank you for subscribing. I am also going to be posting videos on TikTok of our cases. They'll be about 7 to 8 minutes in length for you to go in and listen to as well. I'll post them on YouTube as well. And you might like those. Hello, Ginger Lore. Who's ready for Thanksgiving? Who likes turkey? Who has ham? My husband, Mr. Night Queen, he was out. You slept with the light on all night. You slept with the light on, Pink? Was it scary for you? Oh, the Blair Witch. Yes, I'm considering doing that one. Yes, Andrew. Yes. Thank you. You have both? Yeah? Are any of you cooking right now while you're watching the live? Who's ready for some interaction? Strange dreams. Yeah, so my husband was out this morning. Mr. Night Queen was out at 7 a.m. this morning looking for pies. And he found them. Well, that's nice. Sounds like a good church. Palm, did you get that snow? Let's start sharing it out. Share, share, share. Oh my goodness, that sounds amazing. Cranberry sauce, I love it, Tracy. I love deviled eggs, banana pudding, brownies. Oh my goodness. Hey, Zoe Ann. Hey, Sandra Jefferson. Tomorrow morning. Yeah. Oh, Tara. Isn't it good to see Brian back in the house? Love it. It's a winter wonderland. I am jealous. You're gonna have to post pictures in the DE channel. Already started prepping? X, you've got to make a good meal for your son and his friends. Because you threatened their lives if they didn't sign up on the White channel. Oh, goodness, Ginger Moore. I'm so sorry. Hey, let's think about Jim Rocks. He's not feeling good tonight. Said he might not be here tonight. We're going to miss you. And feel better. It always sucks to be sick at the holidays. Time to pay up, X. Hey, Al. This has been one of the most fascinating cases. I am truly enjoying exploring the Bell Witch. So much so that I've ended up watching 3 documentaries. I do too, Ginger. I've ended up watching 3 documentaries on it. Another one today. Prayers for Ray Ray. Absolutely. Thank you so much for reminding me of that. And let's get started. So, my name is Bryn Morgan, and I'm a horror author. And I am also a lover of anything and everything paranormal as far as related to hauntings, entities, legends, lore. I just absolutely love it and just soak it up with a sponge. This case is one that I have really enjoyed looking up and studying and really diving deep into. So when we ended it Monday night, the last thing that we left with was the Bell Witch saying in a sing-song, delighted voice, "It's done. John Bell is done. I unalived him." And then you hear Lucy Bell, and she's sobbing, and she's like, no, John, please don't leave me. And the voice is laughing. He's mine now. I told you that I would unalive him, and I always keep my promises. You hear a man's final breath taken. Silence, then weeping. December the 20th, 1820. John Bell dies in his bed at age 50, surrounded by his family after months of mysterious illness. Now, some of the things that he was going through, thank you, Ginger. Some of the things that he was going through was his tongue was swollen so severely that they couldn't even keep it in his mouth. Another documentary that I read today, hello, Linda. Another documentary that I read today was that they had to keep a stick by his bed so that the only way that he could communicate was if they stuck his tongue back in his mouth, he was at least able to communicate in some way. The whole time that John was laying in his bed, Betsy continued to have these encounters, these attacks on her body. And a new thing that I heard about it was sometimes Betsy Bell had very long hair. And so, hey, Cosmic Heart 76, welcome in. So, one of the things that the entity did was it would take, while she was sleeping, it would take Betsy Bell's hair and would tie it up in knots around the bedpost. And then it would hit her and it would slap her, poke her, puncture. And she would automatically wake up and pull, and her hair was tied to the bed. That's insane. Absolutely insane. This entity has terrorized the Bell family for 3 years, and it claims every bit of the credit. Every bit of it. Not alleges, not suggest, claims. Out front, out loud, in front of witnesses, in front of the minister, in front of officials, in front of neighbors. It's just insane. And she says it loudly. I unalive John Bell. The doctors can't explain the death. The symptoms don't match any known illness. And when they search John's medical cabinet, they find something that shouldn't be there. Lucy, his wife, she tells them, that wasn't there. That's not ours. How did that end up in our medicine cabinet? A vial. Small, dark, amber glass, filled with a black liquid that no one recognizes. They tested on the farm cat. Poor cat. And guess what? The cat dies within minutes. Hello, Renee. Welcome in. The Bell Witch is the only documented case in American history where a paranormal entity allegedly committed murder. But this is the thing. Did it? Or did someone in that house perhaps unalive John Bell? Was it really Kate? Was it a demon? Was it a poltergeist? Was it a ghost? Welcome back to Paranormal Files Live. I'm Bryn Morgan, and tonight, Seekers, we finish this investigation. We're going to examine John Bell's death. We're going to investigate what happened to Betsy Bell. We're going to explore the entity's departure and prophecy and the cave. And we're going to answer the question, what was the Bell Witch? Let's close this case. Are you ready? Hello, Don Versace. Welcome back, Seekers, to this Thanksgiving Junior, this Thanksgiving Eve. This is it, the conclusion of the Bell Witch investigation. Were you here Monday? Drop it in the chat. Are you new? Are you jumping in tonight? Well, welcome. We are most welcome and most willing and happy to have you here. And what's your location? I'm in South Carolina. Where are you from? Another part of the country? Another part of the world? For those joining tonight, let's do a quick recap. But first, let's see who was here and who is new. Michigan, Pennsylvania, still in New Hampshire, Ohio, Powhatan, Virginia, Blacklick, Ohio, Vermont, hey Mia, how are you, lovely? Cali, North Carolina, Minnesota. So here's a quick recap, or here it is for someone who may be just joining us. Night one. So the Bell family of Red River, Tennessee, experienced a violent haunting, the most violent haunting on record in American history, from 1817 to 1821. But what I heard today is it still continues to this day. So it started with John Bell. He's out walking his land. He had over 300 acres. From what I heard today, a lot of it was tobacco. And he was out in the cool of the day. It was August. The moon was coming up. The sun was going down. There was a breeze blowing. He looks toward the edge of his fence and he sees something. He sees what he thinks to be an animal, a creature with a dog head, but the other parts of the body just look odd. As he gets closer and lifts his pew-pew, he hollers out, "Who's there? You better get off my land!" Whatever this thing is turns and looks at John. And John swears up and down it's not an animal. That whatever this thing was, this creature, this entity, its eyes were human. Oh, terrifying. He shoots. And the thing starts to move away from the fence line, but it's not in any kind of a hurry. In fact, it's just moving away leisurely. So John raises his pew-pew and he aims it again. "I said, get off my land!" And he shoots. And it vanishes. That night, the sounds start. And then it went from sounds to, hey, Leslie Marie. And then it went to escalated physical attacks on 12-year-old Betsy Bell, including a speaking entity that called herself Kate and was witnessed by hundreds of people, including Andrew Jackson. Thank you, Andrew. Love it. The entity repeatedly stated its goal: I will unalive John Bell. And that brings us to tonight. Quick poll. After Monday's investigation, where do you stand on what the Bell Witch is? Do you think it's completely paranormal? A genuine spirit entity? Do you think that it's psychological? A poltergeist or a mass hysteria? Do you think it's a hoax? Some elaborate deception that the Bell family made up? Or are you unsure? Maybe you're unsure and you need more evidence. Ginger Moore says, an evil spirit or a demon. Pink says, unsure. Kim says, I am thinking an evil spirit. Ginger Moore says, other people heard it. X says, a curse on the land. Palm says, unsure. Shirley says, evil spirit and demon. Amy says, unsure. Tracy says, unsure. Interesting. So we're seeing quite a few different things here. Unsure is the majority. An evil spirit, a demon. Julie says also unsure. Who else? Mystic says an entity. Renee says unsure. Well, tonight is night 2, and we're going to investigate. John Bell's mysterious illness started in 1820. The poisoning and the death. We're also going to talk about the witches' celebration. We're going to talk about what happened to Betsy Bell. And we're going to talk about the entity's departure and prophecy and coming back and haunting the Bell family to this day. We're also going to talk about the Bell Witch Cave, a modern phenomena. I learned more on that too. We're also going to talk about all the theories, paranormal, psychological, criminal, final verdict. By the end of tonight, I want to know, what was the Bell Witch? This is the night we answer the hard questions. Are you ready? Let's investigate a murder. It's spring 1820. John Bell is age 49 and he begins experiencing strange symptoms. Now, from what I heard today, it wasn't just the tongue. It started out with him sitting in the living room at night around the fire with his family, his legs being jerked up and his socks being pulled off. Quite a few times. And this is from Richard, who was his son. Let me present these symptoms as documented by family members, neighbors, and even the visiting doctor. March 1820. It starts out with his socks being pulled off of his feet, his sheets being pulled off of him in the middle of the night, facial twitching, uncontrollable spasms on one side of his face. Some said that it would go from the left to the right and the right to the left. I think I did that wrong. But anyway, you get the idea. Difficulty speaking. They began to notice that his words were slurred. And then as it went on, it became more progressive. It just progressed and became worse. His tongue swelling started out very small. In fact, John said, I think I might be allergic to something that you're making, Lucy, or perhaps something that we're sprinkling on the crops. But that wasn't it. And his tongue got bigger and bigger and bigger. April 1820, the next month. Difficulty swallowing. Can barely eat solid food at this point. Weight loss, significant, visible. He looks like a skeleton. Weakness. This is what was so hard for his family because John Bell, Lucy's husband, And the kid's father was strong. He was a strong man who now struggles with the most basic of tasks. And eventually, his sons have to take over for him and work the land because he's not able to do it. And then he starts to have episodes of facial paralysis. One morning, he's just sitting there, and the whole right side of his face just sags. His eyes, his mouth. May to June 1820. The tongue swelling worsens. His tongue fills his entire mouth. He can only consume liquids. His speech is nearly impossible. You cannot understand him. Extreme weakness. He can barely walk across the floor anymore. He's basically bedridden. Unexplained seizures start to attack his body. Body convulsions, loss of consciousness. So, these symptoms don't match common 1820s illnesses, seekers. Modern medical professionals have tried to diagnose John Bell posthumously, but what do you think caused these strange symptoms? Let me see them. Your theories in the chat. So, here's some suggestions. Poison. Hello, Karen Hamilton. Progressive poisoning over the months. Was it the witch? Or was it someone in the house? Neurological. Stroke, tumor, nerve disease. Psychosomatic. Stress, fear, manifesting physically. Paranormal. Entity causing physical deterioration. A combination. Illness plus the entity. What do you think? I'll scroll back up here. Pink says, I feel bad for him. I know. Thank you so much for the presents, everyone. Pink says, I don't know. Shirley says poisoning. A Ginger says many strokes, food allergies. Right, Judy Still. Hello. Who benefited most if it was poison? That's the thing. Shirley, you're right. It could be anything. What are y'all thinking over there in the white channel? Allergic reaction. Brighton says it's witches. I'd say poison or something going on. Oh, I think he was being poisoned. And I think that it was paranormal. They had 9 kids total. 7 of the children were living there. So, Let's examine each theory. Theory number 1, poison. Evidence 4, progressive symptoms consistent with slow poisoning like arsenic. Strychnine. Tongue swelling could indicate certain toxins in his body. The mysterious vial that was found after his death, we'll get to this. Someone in the household had access to John daily. Evidence against. Dr. Hobson was the family doctor. He had been the Bells' doctor for 10 years. He found no evidence of poisoning during the illness. Progressive poisoning usually has stomach symptoms. John didn't. Who would poison him? Lucy? His wife? Thank you. One of his children? It just seems highly unlikely. Why? What would they benefit from poisoning their father? Theory number 2, neurological disease. Evidence 4, facial paralysis suggests nerve damage or a stroke, right? Speech difficulties, which is completely neurological. Seizures, brain involvement. Progressive deterioration matches some brain diseases. Evidence against. The tongue swelling is unusual for someone that has had a stroke or a tumor. The pattern doesn't perfectly match any one of these diseases. No autopsy was performed. Theory number 3, psychosomatic stress. Evidence 4, 3 years of extreme stress from haunting. That's right, 3 years. Sleep deprivation. Fear can manifest physical symptoms. Tongue swelling could be psychosomatic. Evidence against. Symptoms were severe and progressive, led to John's actual death. Hard to explain the seizures. Multiple witnesses saw physical deterioration in John Bell. Theory 4, the entity. Evidence 4. The entity claimed credit repeatedly. And not only did the Bell family hear it, neighbors heard it, people that were standing in their yard heard it. Clear as day. I unalived John Bell. One witness claimed to hear, "Not much longer now. He'll be dead soon." She was jubilant, joyful, triumphant, and claimed every bit of credit for what was happening to John Bell. Entities said on several occasions, neighbors said and families said they heard, "I'm unaliving you slowly, John Bell." Timing coincides with the entity's stated goal, that she was indeed draining him of life. No other explanation fits more perfectly than that. Evidence against. It requires accepting paranormal can cause physical illness. No mechanism for how a spirit causes tongue swelling. Could be coincidence, plus the entity taking credit. Which theory seems most likely to you based on the evidence that I just presented? Let's do a quick vote. Drop 1, 2, 3, or 4. So, so number 4 is the entity. She is solely responsible for it. Number 3, psychosomatic or stress. Theory number 2, neurological disease. And theory number 1, poison. Hey, Alabama, how are you? Interesting. 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 1. 2 and 4, 4, 1, 2 and 4, 2, 4 and possibly 1. Mia still thinking 4. Renee, there has been so many things that have been said about this case. So many things. With his tongue swelling up, they said that he had told lies. So, Shirley says 2 and 4. Emma Bema says, hey, honey. I mean, so it's an interesting split. Bonnie, that has been brought up too. So it is a interesting split. So let's keep investigating, because what happens next complicates everything. Hey, Rose. As John Bell's health deteriorates, the entity's behavior begins changing dramatically. The entity speaks constantly. I am talking about round the clock about John's condition, morning, noon, and night. And this is what she says. He's dying. Can you see how weak that he is? His tongue is swelling, Lucy. Soon he won't be able to speak to you at all. I'm unaliving him, and there's nothing that you can do about it. Behavior number 2 that the entity begins to present. She prevents visitors from helping John. When ministers come to pray for John, the entity disrupts them. One such witness said that the minister was sitting by John's bed and was holding his hand, and had just asked him if he could pray. Dear Lord, I bring before you John Bell, a man of faith. Oh, Susanna, won't you cry for me? 'Cause I'm going to Alabama with a banjo on my knee. Ha ha! And then some said that other ministers would come in, or other members of the church would come in, and they would start praying, and she would just scream bloody red rum. I think I like that better than schmurder. Someone said that in the chat the other night, and I loved it. Physically attacks praying visitors, pulling their hair, poking them, pushing them out of the chair. Throws objects at anyone trying to help him. Behavior number 3, mocks John directly. So as John is laying in his sick bed, and his tongue is so swollen at this point that he's starting to get sores, she mimics the sound that he makes. Oh, 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 oh. Taunts him about his weakness. You used to be so strong, John Bell. And look at you now. Weak, pathetic, useless. But don't worry, you won't be here much longer. Laughs at his inability to speak. Oh, listen to you. You can't understand a word you say. Just listen to you. Doesn't he sound pathetic, Lucy? And then one of the children said that they were in a chair in the corner of the room one night, and the witch began to taunt him again. How does it feel, John Bell, to be helpless? Now this is very, very odd, okay? Because clearly the witch hates John Bell. But strangely, the entity is sometimes kind to Lucy, his wife. Tells her, you're gonna be perfectly fine when that man's gone. You don't need him, Lucy Bell. Sings hymns to comfort her. This is so bizarre and significant. Behavior number 5, becomes violent with anyone who accuses her of not being real. If someone suggests that the entity isn't real or isn't responsible, they suffer a violent attack. The entity is defensive and wants nothing else to take credit for John Bell's demise. She wants all of it. She wants all the glory. She wants all the fanfare. She wants people to know that John Bell is dying because of her. Hello, Rebecca. So, seekers, the entity taunts John, prevents help, mocks him openly, but comforts his wife, Lucy. What does this tell us? Is there something here that we're not getting? Why do you think that the entity comforted Lucy Bell? So a girl's girl, exactly, yeah. She dislikes Mitten. Is she still tormenting the daughter during this time? So you remember when John yelled out? This is really when all of his symptoms started. So he yelled out one night when she violently attacked Betsy at supper at the table. They had guests over. And he stood up and he was mad and he was yelling. And he's like, leave her alone. If you want to pick on anyone, pick on me. The typical father wanting to defend his child, sick and tired of seeing her being pinched, slapped, thrown, picked up by the hair, thrown across the room, down the stairs. He's tired of it. And so he wants to take the brunt of it now. He wants to take the brunt of the attacks. So drop your analysis. Hello, Lorraine, to you. Welcome in. You know, I wondered about that too, Kim. I wondered, was he mean to Lucy? Now, from what I was reading today, he was very strict. John Bell, he was strict with his wife, he was strict with his children. He expected them to be a certain way, to behave a certain way. Hello, Cherish. Love your name. So no, he wasn't the initial target. He picked on Betsy Bell, but he provoked her. He provoked her and told her, leave her alone, pick on someone your own size. Don't pick on a little girl. So the entity's behavior toward Lucy is one of the most puzzling aspects. And here's the theories. If paranormal, this entity has complex motivations. Hates John specifically, but not Lucy. Why? If psychological, if poltergeist, the entity represents someone's unconsciousness, perhaps Lucy's, perhaps Betsy's, someone who resents John. If a hoax, someone in the family orchestrating this wants John dead, but wants Lucy to be okay. I do not think that it is a hoax at all. This pattern is crucial to understanding what the Bell Witch actually was. Now, while John is dying, something else significant is happening. Betsy Bell, who was 12 years old when the haunting started 3 years previous, she's now 15 years old. She's engaged to be married. Her fiance is Joshua Gardner. He's a young man from the community, good family, good prospects. Betsy loves him. Betsy is not the same. After what she went through for 3 years, she's not the same. Before the haunting, Betsy was outgoing. She laughed. She would go off by herself and sing in the meadows and in the trees and in the cave. But after this happened, now Betsy is withdrawn, but she's pretty and she's soft-spoken and she's quiet and she jumps at her own shadow. But Betsy loves him. She loves Joshua. But the entity hates him. So I was reading about this today. So on the Bell property, there was a series of caves, but there's one big cave in particular. And what they would do, because these caves were dark and cold, they would take grain, seeds, anything like that, and put that toward the back of the cave to keep it. It was almost kind of like a refrigerator type deal. I don't know if you've ever been in a cave, but when you walk inside and you're going down underground, it's quite chilly. So they're planning the wedding, despite the fact that her father is dying. John has wrote out, I do want you to marry this guy, this man. He's a good man. And so Betsy is just overwhelmed one day by seeing her father passing away, and there's nothing she can do about it. So she leaves the house. She's walking through the fields, and she goes to the cave. Outside of the cave is a rope. And this rope is hanging down from this tree limb, and her brothers, when they were young, used to go out there and grab the rope and swing, back and forth across the cave, back and forth. Well, Betsy encounters something that absolutely terrifies her. She's walking by the cave. She sees a young girl in a long white dress. And the rope is wrapped around this girl's neck. And she calls to Betsy. And she says, "Don't marry that boy. Don't marry him." Like threatening her, like her voice is threatening. This terrified me when I read it. And so Betsy actually speaks back to this entity that is hanging from this tree and says, "But I love him. You will not marry that boy." But Betsy ignores her. And every time that Joshua Gardner visits the Bell home to see Betsy, the entity attacks him. One morning, he's coming early to see her. He has permission to take her to church. So he's there. He arrives with his buggy. And as he is about to hop out, something sweeps his legs out from under him and says, "Leave this house, Joshua Gardner. Betsy Bell will not marry you." And Joshua speaks back to the entity, "But I love Betsy. We're engaged." The witch, "You will not have her. I forbid it." What in the hell is going on? The entity physically attacks Joshua, slaps him, throws objects at him, makes it impossible for him to court Betsy normally. And Betsy tries to stand up to this entity because she wants to leave. She doesn't want to be around him anymore. "I love Joshua. You can't stop me from marrying him." The witch is venomous. "Oh, can't I?" Watch. The attack on Betsy began to intensify again because she is not listening to this entity, and they are worse than ever. In fact, worse than they were before. She's now tying her hair around the bedpost in knots, and then she's hitting her, throwing objects at her. The entity makes it very, very clear. If Betsy marries Joshua, the torture will never stop. So, eventually, in tears, Betsy breaks off the engagement. And Betsy is devastated when she tells him this. Her cheek is swollen. She has 2 black eyes. She's being pricked with pins even as she's trying to say it. "I can't do this to you, Joshua. As long as I'm cursed, as long as my family is cursed, you'll suffer." I release you from our engagement. And Joshua's like, Betsy, no! And Betsy says, please, just go. Live your life. I can't marry you. And the witch says, good girl, Betsy. Good girl. So the entity destroys Betsy's engagement. She's 15 years old, in love, and forced to give up her fiance because of this entity. Why would the entity give a freaking care who Betsy marries? Drop your theory in the chat. Ginger says jealous. She must have known something about him. Poltergeist. Bell Witch is protective to the women. It happened off the property too. Yeah. Must love her. Maybe he was not a good guy. She wants to keep all the women there with her. Auntie Antlers, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Cherish because John liked him. Turtle Woman. Joshua was going to take her away. And I don't think that was anything that the Bell Witch was going to allow. Protection and maybe overpowering. Rebecca says, because Dad liked him. I've seen a couple of those. She undoubtedly knows something about him. So if you're just coming in, welcome into Paranormal Files Live. Have you ever wanted to talk about the paranormal? But when you do, people look at you like, is she okay? Is he okay? Well, you have found your group. Here we talk about the paranormal, the most haunted paranormal cases from around the world. Welcome in and enjoy. So, these are all fascinating theories. This is one of the most revealing aspects of the case and the possibilities. If the entity is external, it has specific goals regarding Betsy Bell. Wants to control her, wants to isolate her. Sounds like my mother. Wants to keep her in the Bell home, doesn't want her to leave, doesn't want her to leave the property. If the entity is psychological, a poltergeist, it represents Betsy's own ambivalence about marriage. Oh, now that's good. What if there were some concerns? What if there were some fears about being married, about leaving home, about growing up? If someone in the family is orchestrating this, they don't want Betsy to marry Joshua for some reason. Now here are some theories. Property. Family dynamics. Abuse that they're covering up. Possibly. Keep this in mind as we continue. So sadly, Betsy ends up breaking her engagement in the fall of 1820. And 2 months later, John Bell dies. December the 19th, 1820. John Bell is bedridden, barely conscious. His tongue is so swollen that he cannot speak or even swallow at this point. The family knows that he's dying. And that evening, John Bell has a seizure. Violent. His body convulses, he loses consciousness, and sadly, he never wakes up. December the 20th, 1820, early morning, John Bell dies. And immediately, I am talking about the second he takes his last breath, the entity speaks. Her voice fills the house. It's early morning. Roll me up some brandy, or roll me up some brandy. Oh, roll me up some brandy, roll me up some brandy, roll me up some brandy. John Bell is dead. She sings a drinking song, celebrating, laughing. It's done. John Bell is dead, and I unalived him. I've been poisoning him for months, and now he's dead. Lucy Bell leaves her husband's side, and she's screaming through her tears. And she's angry. How? How did you poison him? Now, I want you to remember something. They're having this conversation with an entity that has never shown themselves. The only known time that the entity showed was to Betsy Bell when she was near the cave, the girl with the white dress with the rope around her neck. The witch says, check his medicine cabinet, Lucy. Check the vial. That was mine. So John Jr. goes to his father's medicine cabinet and finds John's medicines, and it's the only ones that Dr. Hobson had prescribed. But then he moves a bottle, and at the very back is a vial. Small, dark, amber glass filled with a black liquid. And no one has seen it before. And John Jr. is like, Mama, what is this? And the witch is laughing. That's my poison. That's what I unalived your father with, John Jr. I gave it to him every day. Just a little sip, just a little bit, in his food, in his drink, slowly. And now, he's dead. So again, the entity claims credit, points to the mysterious vial. So this is either true, the entity actually poisoned John as she claimed, false, someone else poisoned John, entirely taking the credit for it, symbolic. The vial represents something but isn't literal poison. Or a hoax. Someone walked in and planted the vial as proof. Drop your assessment. True? False? Symbolic? Or a hoax? Thank you, Ginger. You would think so. You would think that the law would have blamed him. I think false. You think they were setting them up. Who? Who set up these people? If there was an actual vial, someone would have been arrested. Right. True. We're going to take an intermission now. 10 minutes. And when we come back, we are going to investigate the vial. I hope you're enjoying it. I'll be right back. getting cold. Welcome back. Did you get your snacks? Hello, Haunted Attic Paranormal. Oh, I love your name. I love your name. Thank you for the follow. Yeah, it's supposed to be chilly in the morning. Really, really chilly. Is this not one of the best cases? I just absolutely love it. So much. Scooby-Doo. I have a story about that. Aw, thank you. Thank you, thank you. I just don't know what to think of what it is. Paranormal, the devil for sure. What do you think about the girl? What do you think about that with the rope around the neck, telling her not to marry him? When I read that, I got the coldest chills. Like, it was just like full body chills. Let's dive back in, shall we? So the family has discovered a vial of unknown liquid that allegedly unalived John Bell. And they need to know, oh my God, they need to know that it is actually poison. The test. So John Jr. takes the vial to Dr. Hobson, and Dr. Hobson examines the liquid. And Dr. Hobson tells John Jr., I don't know what this is, young man. It's not any medicine that I've ever prescribed. The smell is strange, and the consistency is wrong. So John Jr. asked him, can you test it? And Dr. Hobson says, well, yeah, there is a way. Now, you have to remember that this is 1820. They don't have chemical analysis, so they use the method that is available. They tested on an animal, one of their farm cats. They put a drop of the liquid on the cat's tongue, and within minutes, the cat dies. Convulsions, paralysis, death. Experiences everything within 2 minutes that John did, to a certain extent. So the liquid unalives the cat quickly. This proves it's toxic. Yeah, but does it prove A, the entity created or delivered the poison, that it was completely paranormal? Snap of a finger. There it is. B, someone in the house poisoned John. Murder was committed. C, the vial is real poison, but wasn't used on John. It was just a frame-up. Or D, something else. Drop A, B, C, or D. I'll run back through them again. A, The entity created, delivered the poison. It was completely paranormal. B, someone in the house poisoned John. C, the vial is real poison but wasn't used on John. Ooh, I'm jealous. Pumpkin pie. Did you have Cool Whip with it? I love Cool Whip. Or D, something else. Did its tongue swell? I don't know if it had time to do that, but it might have. It might very well have. So I'm seeing B because of A. Cherish says, Shirley says D. Something else, D. B. Brighton says. Amy says B. Maybe C. Julie says D. Renee says D. Melanie says A. So I don't know. I want to lean toward A. That this poison was paranormal. But can a spirit do that? Can they create a bottle of poison out of thin air? So question 1, where did the vial come from? No one in the family claims to have purchased it. Not prescribed by Dr. Hobson. Appeared in John's medicine cabinet mysteriously. And the entity says out loud, I put it there. Question number 2, how was it administered to John? The entity claims, I put it in his food and his drink. But the entity is incorporeal. How did it physically handle the vial? I guess that's one of the things that is, stumping me here. Unless someone in the family was doing it. But why? Why would they want to get rid of Dad? Question 3. Do John's symptoms match poisoning? Slow poisoning, maybe. Tongue swelling could indicate certain toxins. Seizures, yes, they are consistent with some poisons. But the pattern is unusual. That's what is holding me up. Question 4. Why not just unalive him? Quickly. Why kill him slowly? To torture him? To make him suffer? If you want to murder someone, quick poison is easier. Slow poisoning over months, that's elaborate. That's someone that really wants you to suffer. That is someone who says, oh, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna make you pay. The entity's stated reason is, I wanted him to suffer. I wanted him to suffer badly. Question 5, and this is what I was thinking on today, dwelling on today. Who benefits from John's death? Well, if he passes, Lucy inherits the property. The children will inherit it eventually. Betsy is freed from the entity's stated target, and no obvious financial motive for Schmurder. Now, John Bell was rich. They were a wealthy, prosperous frontier family that moved from North Carolina to Middle Tennessee. And they were wealthy, so they were not wanting for anything. And everything that he touched became gold. His fields, his land, his property, his children, everything. Devil's advocate here. Could someone in the Bell family have murdered John and used the witch as a cover story? But then this is my thing. You know, you think that, but what about the voice of the woman, the witch, the entity, whatever the hell she is, claiming credit? What about the neighbors being able to hear it? Who would, what? Who would have motive and opportunity? Drop your theory. Lucy, Betsy, John Jr., etc. Dark theories here, seekers. But let's engage. Let's examine the possibilities seriously, because certain historians have actually considered it. Who's your suspect? Lucy? Betsy? John? Or Kate? Oldest son gets it. She was controlling his wife. Maybe it was John himself. Right? She hates him so much and wants him to feel torture. Ginger Moore says, so confusing. Emma Bama says, poisoning him is the easy part. It's the abuse to Betsy that's questionable for a human to do. Shirley says, I think she was controlling Lucy or Betsy. Mystic says, I feel like he was abusive and the entity wanted him to suffer. Pink says, maybe Lucy. Cherish, John, guilty conscience. Kim, thinking either the son or Betsy. Palm says, possibly Lucy. Julie says, maybe Lucy. Hey, Magic Moon, hope you're feeling good. Mystic, I'm saying, like, what did he do to go this way? Love this conversation. So, suspect number 1, Lucy Bell. Motive? Abusive husband? No evidence of this, but he was very strict, and that is on absolute fact. So no evidence of abuse toward her, but certainly possible. Wants the property, wants freedom, tired of everything that's been going on in her house for 3 years. She knows John isn't going to get any better. She inherits but doesn't remarry or sell, and she stays on the farm. Protecting her children? From what? Opportunity. Complete access to John's food and drink. Could have administered poison very easily. Evidence against. No evidence of marital problems beyond the haunting. She seems genuinely devastated by his death. The entity comforts her. Would she comfort herself? She lives 27 more years after the death of her husband and never confesses. Suspect number 2, Betsy Bell. Motive: abuse. Now, some modern theorists suggest that John was abusing Betsy, that the witch equals her dissociation or protection from John. Control over her life. Maybe Betsy doesn't want to marry. Poltergeist theory: her unconsciousness creating the entity. But still, I have to wonder why the voices, the audible voices that were heard again outside on the farm, traveling around to different areas. Betsy? I don't know. Opportunity. Betsy had access to John's food and drink just like her mother Lucy did. She could have administered the poison. Evidence against. She's 15 years old, capable of elaborate four-year hoax. I'm highly doubting that. She's the primary victim of the physical attacks. Okay, how do you explain her being lifted up in the air by her hair? That's not a hoax. It happened. It wasn't just the family that witnessed it, the ministers, neighbors, friends. Multiple witnesses, again, see her attacked by invisible force. So that is what I keep going back to. Betsy didn't do it. She later marries someone else. If she could stop the entity, why not marry Joshua? Suspect number 3, one of the sons. Motive, inheritance, family dynamics that we don't understand. Protecting mother or sister. Opportunity. Access to food and drink just like Lucy and Betsy. Evidence against. No evidence of family conflict. Yeah, John was a strict father, very religious beliefs, a strong Christian, by all who knew him. But there was no family conflict. They all got along really, really well. His oldest son still lived at home, and his second to oldest son still lived at home. These boys seemed devastated by their father's death. Why the elaborate 4-year haunting before the death? Now, this murder theory has problems, and these are what they are. Problem number 1. The haunting started 3 years before John's death. That is a very long time to set up a murder. Problem number 2. The phenomena were witnessed by hundreds of people outside of the family. So you have to remember that. If the goal was to unalive John, why continue? Problem number 3. And, again, when the phenomena is witnessed by hundreds of people outside the family, that's hard to fake at that scale. Problem number 3, the entity continued after John's death, and we're going to get to that. And when I heard what I heard today, I was just like, wow. If the goal was to unalive John, then if that was her sole purpose, or someone in the family wanted to unalive him, why continue it? Problem number 4. No one has ever confessed. Not on deathbeds, not in letters. No evidence ever emerged. But it's worth considering, because the alternative, that a paranormal entity literally poisoned someone, that's even harder to believe. John Bell is buried on December the 21st, 1820. And when I tell you that it was a large funeral, it was a large funeral. The whole community attends. Neighbors, friends. And guess who else attends? The entity. During the funeral service at the Bell home, and this is before the burial, the entity speaks. And again, it's that morning, and she's singing loudly, and she's disrupting the service. Roll me up some brandy, roll me up some brandy, yo! Roll me up some brandy, roll me up some brandy. John Bell had to go. What would you do if you're sitting there attending this funeral and you hear this voice singing the same drinking song, the same celebration song? Mourners are absolutely horrified by what they've heard. The minister tries to continue, but the entity keeps interrupting him. She just gets louder and louder and louder. And at the graveside, as John Bell is being lowered into the ground, his casket is going in the ground, she starts laughing. There he goes. Good riddance. I've done what I came to do. The entity mocks John Bell at his own funeral in front of dozens of witnesses. This behavior is evil, deliberately cruel entity at work here. A performance. I believe that the entity really liked attention. I think that it was someone that was enjoying and loving and relishing in the chaos that they created. Psychotic, mentally ill person's delusion, or impossible to judge. Too strange to categorize. Drop your theory. I'm going to go with evil and performance. I think that this witch, this whatever this was having a lot of fun. Hey, Justine. Hey, JD. Isn't that crazy? She must be a hoot at parties. Who? Me? Hello, Nikki. Welcome in. Whatever the Bell Witch was, its behavior at this funeral shows a complete lack of empathy. Rebecca says feeds off of others' miserable lives. A desire to humiliate, even in death. Enjoyment of others' pain. and a specific hatred of John Bell. I guess this is my thing. Why John? So after the funeral, the entity becomes less active, much less active. And the family wonders, is it over? Early 1821, the entity's activity decreases significantly. Fewer sounds, fewer attacks, less talking. And then in spring of 1821, the entity makes an announcement. The witch. The family is gathered in the house. They're sitting there. They haven't heard from her in months. And then they hear this. I'm leaving now. My work here is done. John Bell is dead. That's what I came for. Lucy Bell responds, you'll truly leave? You'll leave my family in peace? The witch. For now. But I'll return in 7 years. I'll return in 1826 to see how you all are doing. Betsy cries out, no, please don't come back here. Just leave us alone. The witch. 7 years, Betsy dear. 7 years. Wait for me. And then, silence. The entity stops speaking. The phenomena stops dead in its tracks. The Bell family, after 4 years of hell, finally has peace. But this family is forever changed. The entity says that it will return in 7 years. The promise is either what, seekers? A true threat? It intends to return in 7 years, even goes so far as to give them the year that it will return, 1826. A false threat, a final psychological torture that she wants to leave them with, a test. Will they be afraid for 7 years? Or a hoax ending, a person orchestrating this, setting up a future return. What do you think? Drop your theory. Why would she tell them that she is going to leave, but she's going to come back? Is that not the craziest thing? Hey, Mary. Amabema says maybe the whole family was awful, so she's coming back to see if they've changed their ways. Pink says, like, okay, why do you need to return? Ginger Moore says, keep them scared. And Pink says, exactly, why return revenge? You know, is it not already done? 1828, 7 years after the entity's departure. The Bell family has moved on as best as they can, but they never forget. They never forget what they went through. Lucy Bell, still living on the property, running the farm, never remarried. She was a very handsome woman, people said. but she had aged significantly from the trauma. Betsy Bell, married in 1824 to Richard Powell. He was a school teacher, not Joshua Gardner. They were living nearby. They had children. She is still traumatized by her teenage years. And she always insisted never, ever sleeping, but with her back to the wall. The sons, most of them have moved away, started their own families, and some still help Lazy Lucy, help Lazy with the farm. But the question is, in 1828, did the entity return? According to John Bell Jr.'s later writings, in 1828, the witch did return. For approximately 2 weeks, she spoke to John Jr. and Lucy. She discussed religion, made prophecies about the future, spoke about the family, and then she departed again, saying she would return in 107 years. The 1828 phenomena, only John Jr. and Lucy experienced it. No one else witnessed it. No physical attacks, just conversation, much gentler than 1817 to 1821. Analysis. If real, the entity returned as promised but was less violent because its main target, John Bell, was dead. If false, John Jr. and Lucy, traumatized by the original events, had shared delusions or were remembering or misremembering. If a hoax, someone in the family maintained the story for what reason? The claimed 1828 return is much less dramatic. Just talking, no violence, only 2 witnesses. Does this support the paranormal explanation? Entity returned as promised? Does it undermine the paranormal explanation? Sounds like grief or a trauma response? Or neither? Doesn't significantly change the case. Drop your assessment. I'd not be kind after that if they did that to my family. I'd be saying some very bad things. Right. The 1828 return is footnote. The real story is 1817 to 1821. But there's one more modern chapter, the Bell Witch Cave. On the original Bell property, there's a cave, and it has been there since before the Bells arrived. Now, the cave is now a tourist attraction called the Bell Witch Cave, and people still report phenomena there. Report number 1, voices in the cave. Visitors report hearing a female voice, whispering, singing, laughing, no source visible. Could be acoustics, wind, suggestion, or something else. Report number 2, whoever goes in the cave, their camera malfunctions. Cameras fall in specific areas of the cave. Batteries drain instantly. Could be electromagnetic interference, humidity, or something else. Report number 3, physical sensations. People feel pushed, hair pulled, slapped, temperature drops. Could be suggestion, natural cave conditions, or something else. Report number 4, the entity speaking. Some claim to hear the entities say, "I'm Kate." Some claim to record electronic voice phenomena. Could be audio artifacts, wishful thinking, or someone else. So, modern people, even today, report phenomena at the Bell Witch Cave. Have any of you ever been there? Drop it in the chat. Does this validate the original haunting? Is the entity still there? Does it show the power of legend? People experience what they expect? Or does it prove absolutely nothing? Tourist trap, cashing in on a legend. Drop your take. No, and I never will. Is the property still owned by a Bell ancestor? Yes, it is. Absolutely. Dev, the entity is acting weird if it's paranormal. Ghost Adventures investigated there. Yep. 1935 would have been 107 years. Does she come every 100 years, checking on ancestors? 2028 is coming soon. Just wait. Residual energy, Cherish says. Any reports of it coming back in 1935? Just wait. Hey, Cross Lady. It is in Adams, Tennessee. They changed the town name to Adams. The cave phenomena are interesting, but they're not conclusive. It's a tourist attraction. People come expecting to experience something. That expectation creates experience. But some reports come from skeptics who experience something despite not believing. So there was a man, and he wants to remain anonymous, but he went to the Bell Witch Cave, and he went there to taunt her, to see if she was really real. And what is so amazing, he was in his late 30s when he did it, and he's always trying to debunk things. So he's standing at the mouth of the cave, and the guy that is with him says, "Go further in." So he does. Well, he's standing there and it's dark, because sometimes the cave is open and sometimes it's not. Anyway, he hollers out and he says, "Hey, Kate, if you're real, prove it." And just like that, he feels a pinch on the back of his arm. He said it was the strongest pinch. And he said, "I'm still a skeptic to this day. There are things I do not believe in, but I know what I felt in that cave." The cave is still there, and you can visit it and decide it for yourself. Now, let's examine all the theories. After 2 nights of investigation, let's examine every major theory about what the Bell Witch actually was. Do we know? Theory number 1, a genuine paranormal entity. Evidence 4, I just keep going back to the hundreds of witnesses. Physical attacks seen by multiple people. Entity demonstrated knowledge that it shouldn't have, predicted John Bell's death, and he died. Andrew Jackson believed it, said he'd rather fight another war than deal with the Bell Witch. Phenomena lasted for 4 years, long time for a hoax. No confessions ever emerged. Evidence against requires believing that paranormal entities truly do exist. Requires believing entities can physically harm or unalive people. No physical evidence, vile disappearance was disposed of. Could be mass hysteria or elaborate deception. The verdict? If you believe in paranormal entities, and I do, this is the best documented case in American history. If you don't, you need another explanation. Theory number 2, poltergeist connected to Betsy Bell. Evidence 4, poltergeist phenomena often center on adolescent girls. Betsy was 12 to 16 during the main haunting, which is her puberty. Betsy was the prime target. Projection of her own stress, perhaps? The entity prevented Betsy's engagement. Betsy's ambivalence? Phenomena deceased after John's death. Father-daughter tension resolved. Evidence against. Poltergeist phenomena usually last weeks, months. Okay, seekers? Not 4 years. It just doesn't. Other family members were attacked too, so you've got to take that into consideration. Phenomena occurred when Betsy wasn't present. Entity had consistent personality, and poltergeist usually don't. Verdict. A poltergeist. Possible, but doesn't explain all aspects of it. Could be a partial explanation. Could be something paranormal and poltergeist. Theory 3, mass hysteria. Evidence 4, an isolated community, high stress, religious environment equals perfect conditions. Initial sounds could have mundane explanations. Rats, a settling house. Expectation creates experience. Group psychology can create shared delusions. The entity's abilities grow over time as the legend built. Evidence against. Physical evidence, scratches, bruises, handprints on Betsy. Objects actually moved, witnessed by multiple people. Furniture thrown across rooms. Consistent phenomena over 4 years. Skeptics who visited were absolutely convinced that the haunting was real. Verdict. Mass hysteria could explain some aspects, but not all. Physical evidence is problematic. Theory number 4, an elaborate hoax by the family members. Evidence 4, the vial could have been planted. Someone in the family could have administered poison. Entity had human-like limitations, couldn't be in multiple places, seemed to sleep. Ventriloquism could explain the voice, but I'm highly doubting that. Props and tricks could explain some of the phenomena. Evidence against a hoax. Hundreds of outside witnesses. Do you notice how this is in every single one of them? 4 years is a long time to maintain a hoax. No apparent motive. The family didn't benefit financially. No one ever confessed. Entity demonstrates abilities that would be very difficult to fake. Simultaneous voices, knowledge of private information. Children would need to be conspirators, and that is highly unlikely. Verdict. Possible, but requires extensive conspiracy. Why? What's the motive? Theory number 5. John Bell was murdered, which was a cover story. Evidence 4. John really died under very mysterious circumstances. The vial of poison, someone in household had access and opportunity. The entity claiming credit would be the murderer's misdirection. Evidence against. Why 3 years of phenomena before the murder? Hundreds of witnesses to the phenomena. Here we go again. No evidence of family conflict. No one ever confessed. No clear motive. Verdict. Murder is absolutely possible, but the deliberate supernatural cover story just doesn't make much sense. Theory number 6, a combination theory. You didn't know that was coming, did you? What if real family trauma, tension, father-daughter issues, marital issues created a psychological stress that manifested as poltergeist activity, Betsy-centered? Community hysteria amplified the phenomena, some hoaxing by family members adding to the real phenomena of it. Possible murder of John Bell using the witch as a cover. Mass suggestion and legend building over time. Evidence 4 explains multiple aspects that single theories do not. Accounts for both real and exaggerated elements. Makes psychological sense. Evidence against. This is complex, and it requires multiple factors. Still doesn't explain everything. Some elements seem definitively physical and real. Hello. Verdict. The most comprehensive, sure. Most comprehensive theory, but it still has gaps. After 2 nights of investigation, which theory do you find most convincing? Paranormal? Genuine entity? A poltergeist? A Betsy-centered phenomena? 3. Mass hysteria? A group delusion? 4. A hoax? A family deception? 5. A murder cover on a live John and blame the witch? Or 6. A combination, multiple factors. Fascinating spread, I'm gonna bet. 5, 6, 6, 6, 6. Wow. Theory number 6. You never know what goes on behind doors. Theory number 6. I stand by theory number 5. Look at that. Cherish even said telekinesis. 6, multiple factors, 6, wow, 6. Okay. So most of you are saying a combination or a Schmurder cover. Very fascinating spread, and this case resists simple explanation. So I wanted to tell you that the haunting still continues to this day. Members of the Bell family hear doors opening and closing on their own, singing, whispering, touching. After hearing that, my personal assessment on this, after investigating the Bell Witch for 2 nights, examining hundreds of witness accounts, analyzing the evidence, considering all theories, here's where I land. My conclusion. I believe that something genuinely unusual happened at the Bell home from 1817 to 1821. The sheer number of credible witnesses, including Andrew Jackson, ministers, doctors, neighbors, makes dismissing it all as hoax or hysteria very difficult. I do believe that the phenomena included real unexplained sounds and movements, physical attacks on family members, particularly Betsy, an entity that spoke and demonstrated unusual knowledge. However, I also believe that the legend has been embellished over time. Some phenomena were natural, but misinterpreted, perhaps. Mass suggestion amplified some experiences. The entity's abilities were exaggerated in retellings. Regarding John Bell's death, I believe John Bell died of natural causes, likely a neurological disease, a stroke, a humor, or similar. The entity taking credit doesn't prove paranormal murder. The mysterious vial could have been planted as evidence by an entity or person, or misidentified medicine added to the story later. I guess my best guess at what the Bell Witch was, I am going with a poltergeist phenomenon centered on Betsy Bell, amplified by family trauma, community hysteria, and possibly some conscious or unconscious deception. Betsy was an adolescent girl in a high-stress environment, 12 years old, possibly being abused, possibly just stressed by frontier life. That stress manifested as poltergeist activity. There are many cases of this. Real physical phenomena that no one could control or understand. The family, community, and eventually the entity itself built the legend. The personality of Kate emerged from collective belief and expectation. Now, there were some people down through the years that said that there was a Kate Batts, and that John and she had gotten into a dispute over land when they moved from North Carolina to Tennessee. It was her land, and that John did something very unfair and very unjust to her. And some even said that perhaps the slaves, that they did some kind of voodoo or something like that, but there was never anything proven. I believe that John Bell's death was coincidental timing. That he was ill, he died, and the entity, real or imagined, took credit. But here's what I can explain. These are the things that really throw me. The entity's specific, accurate knowledge of things that it shouldn't know. The consistent personality over 4 years. The phenomena witnessed by hardened skeptics. The physical attacks witnessed by multiple people simultaneously. So my verdict is something real and unexplained happened. But what exactly? I don't know. And that's okay. Not every case has a clear answer. Do you agree with my conclusion? Or do you have a different one? Drop your final verdict. And that is why this case is so fascinating, seekers. The evidence points in multiple directions. Rational people can reach different conclusions. I think it's a different kind of being. Yes, I do. I believe it was paranormal because I have experienced it firsthand. Kim, I agree with you, Bryn. I think you make a very good point, Bryn. I agree with you. Yours is pretty good, Bryn. Thank you. And you know, Melanie, I've experienced it too, so I know that the paranormal is real. I've experienced it. I saw the little girl. I saw the man in the hallway. I saw the woman peeking out of the mirror. I mean, I've seen it all. So, absolutely, I do 100% believe that the paranormal is real. And I absolutely love it. Did I say absolutely enough? Let's close with what happened to the family after the haunting ended. Lucy Bell lived until 1837, in her 60s, stayed on the farm, never remarried, rarely spoke of the haunting, and died peacefully. Betsy Bell married Richard Powell in 1824, not her first love, Joshua. She had children. She lived until 1888 to the ripe old age of 83. Late in life, spoke about the haunting, maintained that it was real and the most terrifying thing that she had ever been through. Said she forgave Kate, died in the same house where she was tormented. The sons scattered across Tennessee. Most lived normal lives. Some wrote accounts of the haunting. John Jr. published the most detailed family account in 1846. The property stayed in the family for generations. The cave remained in the family, but became a tourist attraction. House no longer stands. Land still known as the Bell Witch property. The legend became Tennessee folklore, inspired books, movies, and investigations. I would encourage you to watch An American Haunting. It is so good. And I think it has Donald Sutherland in it. So good. Still debated today, the Bell Witch Cave attracts thousands of visitors annually from all over the country, from all over the world. One final thought experiment. If you could ask the Bell Witch one question and get a truthful answer, what would you ask? I would ask why, John? Why was it John? Why did it have to be, why did you pick on John? Did John do something to you? Yeah. What did John do? What did he do to you that pissed you off so bad? Kate Bell Witch, or Bell Witch Kate. If seeking revenge, why bother them, right? Palm says, did you really unalive John Bell, and why? Hopi Love says, why she didn't let her marry Joshua. Kim says, why and what really happened? Nikki says, maybe she don't like men. Really great questions. And I knew it would be. Mine would be, why John Bell? Specifically, why and what did he do to deserve your hatred? Because that's the question that really might explain everything. 2 nights, 200 years of legend, hundreds of witnesses, one dead man. And still, we don't have a definitive answer. The Bell Witch remains one of America's greatest mysteries, and I fear always will. Was it a genuine paranormal entity, a poltergeist, mass hysteria, an elaborate murder cover-up, or some combination? We've examined the evidence, we've considered the theories, we've honored the witnesses. And the honest answer is, we don't know for certain. But here's what we do know. Real people suffered. Real trauma occurred. A real man died. Hundreds of real witnesses believe something extraordinary happened. And this legend persists for a reason. And that matters. Before we close this case, I like to always end it with, what's your biggest takeaway from investigation case number 3? What will you remember about the Bell Witch? While you are dropping your comments, Julia says that she's crazy. So, the lessons of the Bell Witch, lesson number 1. Witness testimony is valuable, but it's not infallible. Hundreds can believe something and still be wrong or right. Lesson number 2. The truth is often more complicated than real or fake. Most cases involve multiple factors. Lesson number 3. Legends grow in the retelling. The Bell Witch of folklore is more dramatic than the documented Bell Witch. Lesson number 4. Some mysteries remain mysteries, and that's okay. Lesson number 5. The real victims are always the people who suffered, regardless of the explanation. Thank you for investigating with me for 2 nights. This was a journey into America's darkest legend. Drop a bell if the Bell Witch case changed how you think about hauntings. A candle for the Bell family who suffered. And if you're ready for the next investigation, you're gonna love it. And a heart, if this case will stay with you. Look at that, Seekers. We've investigated 3 cases together now. The Salem Witch Trials, the Amityville Horror, and the Bell Witch. And we've got so many more to cover. We've thought critically, we've honored the victims, we've wrestled with mysteries that have no easy answer. That's what Paranormal Files Live is all about. Case closed. The Bell Witch investigation is complete. Next week, get ready. Until Monday night, if you hear chains dragging tonight and scratches in your walls, it's probably just... Actually, no. Let's not finish that sentence. Happy Thanksgiving, seekers. Eat, eat, eat. I'm grateful for every one of you. Drop a turkey if you're celebrating this week. Or do they have a pumpkin pie in the emojis? This is Brim Morgan, closing the Bell Witch file. Stay curious, stay critical, stay grateful for the people you love. And as always, remember that the monsters are always human. Good night. Good night.